Welcome to the latest installment of your online video series. Today, we're going to talk about slope and y-intercept. This should be a review for some of you. Some of you haven't seen it in a while, and some of you are probably like, oh my goodness, I don't know what you're talking about. If as I go through this, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, I am offering tutoring this week, Wednesday at lunch and Thursday at lunch only. But if you can't make those times for whatever reason, then we do have after school tutoring, which I will make sure I post in front of the classroom for you to remember. We have after school tutoring Monday through Thursday and G22 with Miss Wright. Again, if you're struggling with this idea, I'm offering tutoring on Wednesday at lunch and Thursday at lunch only. I won't be in at lunch any other day this week. Today, your content goal is that you can find the slope, the y-intercept, and create an equation of the line. Again, this should be a review for some of you, others not so much. We're going to start with our first definition. So in my notes, I would make sure I write this down. This is a coordinate plane, and the coordinate plane contains the x-axis and the y-axis. And that's this here. You will rarely see it look like just this. It's usually a big long line with negatives on both sides. But this is just a snapshot of what a coordinate plane looks like. Please press pause if you don't know this. You also need to know that the left right horizontal direction is called the x-axis. It goes left and right. And the up and down is called the y-axis. I always remember because the y hangs and comes down like this. And I'll show you what I mean. And this is often how I think about it. I have a y-axis and it hangs, so it comes down. That's the y-axis. So if I'm struggling to remember which is which, I always draw that for myself. Please take the moment to write these down in your notes. On the coordinate plane, we have these things called coordinates, and they're really important to know. Coordinates are a set of values that show an exact position. We're going to talk about this coordinate here. This is how it's written with a parentheses, a number, a comma, a number, and another parentheses. The first number on the coordinate plane, oh, I'm sorry, my pointer is not coming up. The first number on a coordinate plane shows the distance along, or left and right. So this shows the distance along. It's also known as my x value. The second number shows the distance up or down, also known as my y value. So this point, this 12,5, is 12 units right because it's positive, and 5 units up because it's positive as well. That's exactly this point right here. So I would count 12 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 units. And then 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they come together right here. I would make sure that I know most of the information on this screen. It's going to be very important in order to access the rest of this unit, which will take us right to fall break. Writing coordinates. So the coordinates are always written in a certain order. The horizontal distance first, or the x value, that's this here. Then the vertical distance, or the y value, that's this here. This is called an ordered pair, and this is the vocabulary I'm going to use, so make sure you know this vocabulary. The ordered pair goes in order, x, y, just like ABCs. If you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So it always goes in ABC order for my ordered pair. So because this is my X number, and it's positive, I go 3 units to the right. And because this is positive, I go 2 units up. Because the y always goes up and down. If it's positive, it goes up. Here's another example. 0, 5 means 0 units to the right. Oh, so it just stays. And 5 units up on the y-axis, because this is written x, y. Please take a moment to put these in your notes if you don't have this concept. How to find the ordered pairs. That's called an ordered pair. Maybe an example or two. I make sure I have some of these ideas in your notes. There will be a quiz upon this tomorrow. What about negative values? So this is a number line. So remember I said the Cartesian, that the plane, that thing we had, I'm going to give you an example. If it's a negative, so it usually will look like this, the ordered plane, the coordinate plane, as it's called. And I might give you -2, -6. And it is written xy, xy. So -x goes to the left, so I would go down over 2, 1, 2. That's -2. -y goes down. I would go down 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here, here it would be -2. That's really sloppy. -6, sorry. Well, I wonder if I can undo that somewhere. Oh, I can. I wonder how I can undo it. Oh, I guess I can't. I apologize. Let me just erase it, because it was really bad. -2, -6 is right about here. So in my coordinate plane, I have 4 parts. My first, and within those parts, I will have different types of numbers. So I'd like you to please look here. I have this, if they are both positive, it'll be right up here in the top right, and that's called quadrant 1, and that's on the next slide. If I have a negative positive, it's in quadrant 2, which also will be on the next slide, a nice little chart for you. I just want you to look at what this means. So maybe you might want to get an example. I might draw this and then draw this 6 4s with the negatives in the right place so that I would have this idea in my notes. So for example, -6, +4, that's this one right here, means you go back along the x-axis 6 and then go up 4. So maybe you might want to put some of these ideas in your notes. That's up to you. This is very important to know. If you haven't written anything down yet, this is very, very important to know. There are 4 quadrants in the coordinate plane. Quad, this root word means 4. Quadrant 1 starts here. Quadrant 2, it goes counterclockwise. There's a reason why, but it's irrelevant, but it goes this way. This is quadrant 3, and I bet you're going to have to label those quadrants tomorrow on your quiz. So you might want to make sure you know this. And this is quadrant 4. Within those quadrants, my x value in an ordered pair will be positive when it's in quadrant 1, positive for xy. When it's in quadrant 3, it'll be negative positive. When it's in quadrant 2, I apologize, negative positive. When it's in quadrant 3, negative. Quadrant 4, positive, negative. So you can make it look a chart like this. In my notes, I have to be honest, I go like this. I just do positive as my ordered pair. And I do that for all of these. I have negative, positive. And then it's much easier for me to look at inside my notes. I have negative, my ordered pair. And then I have positive, negative. Like that. And if you are bound for Algebra 2 at some point in time, you will learn why this goes like this. It is an Algebra 2 idea. But I'd make sure I get these concepts and ideas in my notes somehow. So let's practice. This is all in quadrant 1 because they're all positive. When they're all positive, it's in quadrant 1. Hi, I'm Barracuda the Feared Pirate. Haha, funny, right? To unlock my treasure, I need 4 locations. Find the coordinates of these places. So think about, where are the 3 palms? Look at where they are. They're right here. Remember, I'm going to write my x value first and then my y value. So take a moment to think about what that is. Maybe write it in your notes, because I'm not going to ask you to write it to the right side today. Where do you think the skull rock is? X value first, and then your y. So you're going to go your x value first. That's 3. And then your y is 5. Oh, I just told you this one was 3, 5. Huh. How about the 4 cross cliff? That's right here. Remember, you want to write your x value first and then your y value. Last but not least is the Cave of Death. So maybe press pause and give those a try in your notes so that you can check yourself on the next slide. I'm going to show you the answer, but just so you know where it is. Okay, ready? I hope that's what you got. I have 3 palms. That's 6 over, 4 up. That looks good. Skull rock. I'm saying it's 3. 1, 2, 3 over, and 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 cross cliff, I'm saying is 2 over. 1, 2, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. The Cave of Death, I'm saying is 5 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. I hope you got close. Good job. Pat yourself on the back if you did. All right, we're going to use that knowledge about a coordinate plane to find an equation of a line. You will often see these lines, even as an adult on the news. They talk about things like the price of cell phones or the price of your bills, or those things will have these types of graph. So you need to understand what it is you're looking at as an adult. So this is one of those things that you will use as an adult, is to find, then you'll use your ideas and knowledge from Algebra 1 to find the next part of your bill, to do your budget, that type of thing. So we're going to talk about the equation of a line. That's this right here. So in my notes, I would write equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. I'm not going to write it for you, but it's equation of a line, y equals mx plus b. You need to know that, and I'm going to tell you what all that is. The first step to writing an equation of a line is to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. It's also known as b. So the y-intercept is this right here. All right, so I'm going to look over here where this is my y. Remember, it's like a little, I don't remember, my y comes down like this, right? So that's my y. And this line crosses right here at 800. So as such, that is going to be my y-intercept value, or my b. Remember, there is a quiz tomorrow. You might want to make sure you write this down. So my y-intercept equals 800 gallons. Is that what we're talking about? Oh, water remaining in gallons and in time. This is a swimming pool example. So if I empty my swimming pool, this is how long it would take to be empty, 20 hours. At the rate it's going, we're going to find out how fast it's going. So it started at 800 gallons like this. It started at 800 gallons. And now we need to find our second step. Step 2, we're going to find the slope, or the m. That's this guy here. Not the x. This has nothing to do with the x. The x will never change. It will always be x. There will not be a number there. It'll be y equals some number, x plus some number. That x will always be there. So we're just looking for the m. So the first thing we need to do is to know the equation of m. There's a little equation in there. I would make sure I write this down. We won't use it a whole ton, but it is something you need to know. And I think it's on the test in October, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So make sure you write down how to find slope. It's this equation. I'll tell you what that means in just a second. But take the time and write it down. Good. I hope you wrote that down. It reads y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's also known as the change in y over the change in x. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need 2 points on the 2 ordered pair points. And here they, oh, you can't see that, but here they are right here, 1, 2. I have them written down on this thing that we're going to look at right now. So these are my 2 ordered pairs. So I would make sure I'm writing this down in my example. This is my 2 ordered pairs. That first one is 0, 800. That's this one here. My second one is 5, 600. And I know it's 5 because I counted earlier. But I can count my lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Make sure you have that. Now you're going to label your points. Ready? Labeling my points. Ooh. This is x1 and y1. And the only reason this is to the 1 is because it's the first ordered pair. It really, really doesn't matter. This is x2 and y2. Again, I could have labeled these as my x and y1 and these as my other values. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of life. Now we take these numbers and we're going to plug them into our equation. So take a moment to write this down, and then I'm going to talk about it. So I took my y, this was y2. I took my y2 here, and I plugged it in to my equation. Do you see that? And then I took my, let's see if I can get this another color. I took my y1 right here, my y1, and I plugged it in. Do you see where that came from? So I have 600 minus 800. And I used Desmos and only Desmos in which to find that so that I knew that my negatives and positives would be accurate. Then I said 600 minus 800 gave me a negative 200. And that negative will stay throughout unless they cancel out, but just be careful of your negatives and positives. Then I did my, hold on one second, because really I'm just going to erase this because it's irrelevant right now. All right, I'm going to look at my x values, and they say, oh, I need another color, don't I? I'm going to use this color. My x2, that's where I'm going to be looking for. My x2, here it is. It's 5. So here's my 5. And then I'm left with my x1. x1 is 0. And here it is. So 5 minus 0 is just 5. So then in my calculator, I said 200 divided by 5 gives me 40 over 1, or just 40. I would have taken both as your answer. So my slope, the number for my slope is, let me get this, 40, but negative 40. And the reason it's negative is because my line is going down. Negative lines go down. So that's negative 40. This was 800. Remember that x stays. And I think this was 800 if I'm not mistaken. And that is my equation of the line. Let's look how we see how we did of the answer on the next one. Oh, here we go. Slope was negative 40 gallons per hour. That doesn't feel like a lot, but who knows. And the y-intercept was 800 gallons. So I'm going to plug them into the equation. And here we go. I've got 800 gallons. Here's my 800 gallons. My negative 40. My negative 40. What do you think about that? This is my final equation of the line, folks. All right. Please make sure you're writing this down in your notes. We're going to look at another example for an equation of the line. We're going to start with the one on the left. So this one, I can use my points. See these 2 points? The first step is to find that y-intercept, and it does intercept right here at -2. So my y-intercept is at -2, so b equals -2. And then I could take these points and I could subtract them and all that fun stuff. Or I could count. So you guys might have heard this concept once upon a time, that slope is rise over run. And I hope you have heard it, because it's going to make your life so much simpler. How far does it rise and how far does it run? That's what we're going to do, so we don't have to subtract them and think about making math errors. So how far does it rise? Oh, sorry. It rises 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And I know that because this is where this line kind of is. It meets up here. So it rises 3 and it runs 4 units, I think. Oh, yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means this is my rise. Oops, sorry, that is an I. Over run for my slope. Rise over run. You guys have probably heard that somewhere in your history of math education. Rise over run. B, -2, right? 1, 2, that's -2. I'm going to stick them both into my equation. Here's my rise over run. Here's my -2. This is my equation of the line. Why don't you try the one here on your right and do rise over run? Just think about the fact that it's rising down. So if it's going down, it must be a negative slope if it's going down. All right. I hope you took a moment to try it. You press pause. Let's talk about our slope. It is, I meant to make that arrow the other way. I apologize. Going down 1, it's going down. Think about that. It's going down. Down 1. And running 1, 2. So it's going down 1 and running 2. Down 1 and running 2. So here we are. If it's going down 1 and running 2, here's my negative, because it's going down 1 and running 2. That is my rise, right? It's only rising. It's rising in -1 over run. Rise over run. My x-intercept is -1. You saw that, -1. And plug them into my equation. Look at that. Not bad. Please take a moment to make sure you understand this concept. Press rewind if you would like to review it one more time. What is the y-intercept of this? Take a moment. This is called the line of best fit. So this is weight versus miles per gallon for city driving for selected cars. So they're not going to be exact. We made this line of best fit, which we will talk about here soon. Not today, but eventually. So what do you think? Where does this go? What is the y-intercept? If you said 50, you're right on. I'm going to tell you the slope is -3 over 2, so that you don't have to calculate it. Notice it's negative. It's going down. It's going down because we read left to right. The arrow is pointing down on the right-hand side. That's how we always know what direction it's going. So now that you know the slope, you know the y-intercept is 50. Write that equation on the line. Press pause, give it a try, and then proceed. So the equation of the line, I hope you got. Y equals -3 over 2. X, remember the x stays, plus 50. Good job if you did. Pat yourselves on the back. Here is the equation of the line. It's also a line of best fit. It has to do with number of hours studying per week and a GPA. What is the slope? Take a moment to think and write it down. I would write this equation and then answer these questions right underneath that. I'd write slope. And then y-intercept, what do you think it is? You thought the slope was 0.0272. Well done. Remember, that's the thing left of the x. The y-intercept is 2.22. Good job. The end of today's lesson. Please take a moment to review your notes. Make sure they're all ready to go. There is a practice on Go Formative for you, and proceed to Go Formative to end your day. Thanks, and have a good day.